Lesson 11-9, dividing fractions. Guys, this is where it gets a little confusing, so I really need you to be focusing here. Let's look at some of the vocabulary first. The reciprocal is a new term that we haven't talked about, but once I go through a couple examples, you might get the hang of it. The reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. Think about that as we continue, and we'll see if we can maybe come up with our own definition. Second one, a number times its reciprocal is 1. So let's look at the example. If I have 3/4, and in the top over here I said the reciprocal is 4/3. So 3/4 times 4/3, 3 times 4 is 12, 4 times 3 is 12, and so 12/12 equals 1. Maybe a definition that I might come up with might be the reciprocal is the opposite. I don't want you to really think of it only as that because it's not necessarily the opposite, but you're really just taking the fraction and flipping it. So you go from 3/4 to 4/3. The same thing if I had 5/8, its reciprocal is 8/5. We just flip them around. Let's hold off on the reciprocal talk for now, and let's look at maybe a more easily understandable way to divide fractions. If I have 3 divided by 1/4, I know the answer is 12. Let me show you how I got that. I took 3 circles, and I divided them into fourths. So I had my 3 circles, 1, 2, 3. I divided each one into fourths, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I counted for each one of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When we get into the guide of practice, we're going to get a fraction that doesn't have a 1. So watch carefully on how we do that one. Let's flip to another way we can solve this. You could just multiply by the reciprocal. It sounds easy because we've been talking about multiplication, but just be careful with it. It may be a little tricky since we are just learning the term right now. 3 divided by 1/4. I would write that as 3 times 4/1, because remember 4/1 is the reciprocal of 1/4. So 3 times 4 is 12. We know that 3 is the same thing as 3/1, so 1 times 1 is 1. And we know that anything over 1 is itself, so 12/1 is equal to 12. Notice how I have 2 different ways that I solved the same problem and got the same answer. Let's look at the guide of practice. The question was 3 divided by 1/3. So the first thing I did is I drew 3 circles and I divided them into thirds. You always want to take what the denominator is and divide it into that many sections. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then now, since my numerator was 1, I'm looking for 1/3. So I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I got my answer of 9. Now watch when I do it by multiplying by the reciprocal. If I have 3 divided by 1/3, multiplying by the reciprocal would be 3 times 3/1. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. I get an answer of 9. Notice my answer was the same for both of them. Let's look at the second one, 6 divided by 2/3. So again, to do the drawing first, I drew 6 circles because my whole number was 6. And I'm dividing by 2/3. So I broke it into, again, thirds because that was what I was talking about. Just like up here, I broke it into thirds because that was my denominator. So I break it up into thirds, but this time I'm counting 2/3. So every 2/3 counted as 1. So here's 1, here's 2, those are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So once again, I got an answer of 9. Now let's look at it doing our other strategy, multiplying by the reciprocal. The first problem was 6 divided by 2/3, so I have my 6, and I changed it to multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So 6 times 3 is 18, 1 times 2 is 2, and then I know I have to do 18 divided by 2, which gives me 9, So I get an answer of 9, which again was the same. So either strategy that I wanted to use, either drawing a picture or multiplying by the reciprocal, gave me the same answer. Remember, I'm always available at the small desk for small group instruction. Please make sure that if you're not understanding, you come and get a little bit extra help. You only have to stay a few minutes if that's all you need, or you can stay the whole class. That's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow.